and welcome to episode 34 of Ripping the Rack podcast. I am your co-host, Tim. With me today is my co-host, Brian. Say hi, Brian.
Hey,
Athern.
what's going on, everybody? Yeah, we're gonna have to use last names today, guys.
Yeah, last names today. So, Athern, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, sir? Happy
Good.
Happy soon to be New Year. Happy late Christmas.
Absolutely. You want to introduce our guest today?
I sure can. He is a man that has a wonderful first name. I think it's great. Easter Classic winner, world champion, Brian Fuller Jr. Brian, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on. We appreciate it.
And I am so going to screw up and keep saying Brian, even though I said I was going to go with last names. But glad you can make it, Fuller. I'm happy to see you, buddy. How you been?
Good. It's nice to actually see some bowling people, whether it's on Zoom or whatever. It's been a few weeks now. I think it's been a month now since the last time I bowled.
Really?
So.
Yeah,
I'm going on. This will be week 2 for me. I stopped bowling for the COVID reasons. So
I'm still bowling because I'm old. I don't know. I have nothing else to do. My wife will kill me if I actually stuck at home. So,
with the baby coming now, my wife's really paranoid. She doesn't want me to bring it home, which is obvious. But
hey, obviously, and congratulations, by the way.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Congratulations,
little boy. From what I see,
Brian Fuller Jr. the third.
No, she already put the kibosh to that one.
Oh, well, you'll have to keep working on her on that.
Yeah.
So how are things other than not bowling? Things good?
Yeah, things are good. My grandmother actually had COVID, but she didn't have any symptoms or anything like that.
Okay.
But other than that, nobody at my work's got it, thankfully.
Good.
So it's been okay.
Good.
Yeah.
How's the shoe business?
Good. It's actually been pretty busy for the last couple of weeks, but that's with Christmas and everything.
Yeah.
But overall, it's been pretty good.
Well, I'd come down, but us dirty Mainers aren't allowed in Massachusetts. So
yeah, 2 weeks is a long time to get a pair of kicks.
Yeah. Every time I see you going to Nico's, I'm like, he's like 5 minutes away. You should stop by. But
and every time I will like drive away, and I'm like, well, that was stupid. I said, we gotta go find the shoe store. And my wife looks at me and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Brian Fuller, he's down here. I said, he works at Hyman's. It's down the street.
Yeah.
So eventually we'll show up and surprise you one of these days.
When we're allowed
in Massachusetts.
I heard people were going to Kittery Trading Post, and the cops were waiting until they leave the parking lot and pulling like mass residents over that were going to the trading post and giving them a ticket. So
I hadn't heard that, but
yeah, no, they were lined up at the border, and they were doing it at the liquor store too for Maine people.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we have a lot of sales reps that come in, like they're from Maine, and like they travel back and forth to Kittery and stuff like that. And they were saying that the cops were waiting until they leave the parking lot, pulling people over and giving them the fine.
That's crazy.
They got to pay for that Christmas bonus.
It's the times. Unfortunately, it's the times we live in. It's a
true story.
It is. It's crazy times. Hopefully we get out of it soon. So we do have a couple of questions from listeners. So the first question we have, I'm going to pose this to Athern first. This comes direct from Aaron Basford. Aaron is a listener of the show, which we appreciate. We must be up to at least 6 or 7 now. Ooh. So that's pretty soon we'll be in double digits.
We're doing Howard Stern numbers.
Oh my God! Pretty soon, another couple of weeks will be Howard Stern numbers.
We'll be syndicated.
Yes. So he has a hot take on money leagues. He says money leagues are killing league bowling. Again, his take. Sure, we love them because we're there for the competition, but new bowlers aren't drawn to that aspect. It's a night out. If there were leagues that charged for just the bowling, you bowl only for bragging rights, I wonder if those types of leagues would grow the sport. What do we think? So, Athern, I'm gonna let you answer this one, or give your
I
take.
think they both have their place. I think that it is good to have one big money league to get guys like the three of us or gals into a bowling alley to bowl for more than just a night out. I think it keeps competitive drive going. You can gear up for tournaments that way or stay sharp for tournaments in a league like that where you're bowling, bowlers of your caliber or better than you to keep you on that edge. But then again, I think it's fun to bowl, in a fun league. I kind of used to do this a little bit. I would bowl the Wednesday night league at Oakland Park used to be very I'm not saying it's not competitive now, but it used to be you'd have a lot of good bowlers in it. You had myself, Tim, Jason Kaler, DJ Trask, Eric Denault, my dad. You were bowling quality bowlers every week. And then I bowled a mixed league with my wife and Mark Carrier and Miranda, and we bowled in just a kind of a fun mixed league. So I think they both have their place, but I do think you need more, and I don't want to say cheaper. I think you need more cost-effective leagues to get people in just to see if they like the sport. It does have a decent overhead if you want to figure out if you like a league or not. $14-15 a week for something that you don't enjoy 8 weeks in may not be for you,
That is true. Fuller, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I remember listening to your episode last week, I think it was, and you were saying how, like, you don't take your league bowling competitive and stuff. But, like, I bowl in one league a week now. Well, two, but mostly Tuesday nights at Academy. And, I mean, it's pretty competitive. And we have all kinds of different side pools and stuff like that. So I can't just take it for fun. I get all pissed off if I'm not bowling well. But it's like we have high single, high series, 5 in a row, perfect game. So you can walk out of there with, sometimes I think the perfect game's carried over now like 4 weeks. So I think it's up to like $180.
Yeah.
So
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So you could walk out of there if you hit the 5 in a row and the perfect game and a couple of singles with a couple $100 each Tuesday night, which is pretty good. But
see, and therein lies the difference. The area that we live in versus the area that you live in. We live in an area. There's about, Brian, Atherton, what would you say, about 7,000 people in Rockland?
Yeah, thereabouts. No,
thereabouts.
Definitely not close to 10.
Okay.
Less than 10, and it's not that close to 10.
So the entire Knox County that we live in has about between 10 to 15,000 people, give or take.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more, maybe a little under 15. Our league, there's 6 teams on Thursday night.
No, there's Thursday night. There's more than that because we bowl downstairs.
Oh,
so,
8. There's 8 teams.
8 teams.
Okay. We have a strike pool, which is if you win, you get $15, and you have a spare pool, and if you win, you might get $20.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the spare pool, there's no skill. You get a spare, and then they randomly draw a number 1 through 10.
1 to 10.
For like a 1 fill to a strike, and if you have spares, if you have the most spares with that fill on it, you win the pot. So it's the lottery.
Yeah. So when I say I don't take it serious or I'm not competitive in it, I don't have what I used to have. Like when I bowled in Augusta, Thursday nights in Augusta, it was 20 teams of 5 guys with a waiting list. There were about 15 guys that averaged 118 or higher. And there were nights, I walked out of there one night with about $750 in cash because I won the triple strike pool, I won the strikes plus pool, and I won 2 of the 3 high singles.
Nice.
So I walked out of there with about $750 in cash.
Yeah.
So there was reason to be competitive. So I'm not saying I don't take it serious. I mean, I do when it matters, but ultimately I go because it's a night out. I get to have some laughs. We throw money in the jukebox. We play music all night. And oh, by the way, I'm going to go up and bowl 5 boxes. Then I'm going to sit down and we're going to shoot the shit. And and have some fun. And I might go live on Facebook and, just that's what my leagues have turned into. I use it as practice to bowl in my tournaments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm torn on Aaron. With Aaron's question, I'm torn on this. I personally probably would not bowl in a league like that because I do want to get something at the end of the league. I mean, look, $200 or $300 is better than nothing after bowling all year.
That's true. That is true.
That's how I feel too, but it might be different for like people that like are just getting into the game. It's
yeah.
I think Maine has done, like, the small houses in Maine, like All Play in Belfast and Sammy's in Waldoboro. I think, and Newport, to a certain extent, what they've done is they've taken your league bowlers who bowled maybe a league, and now they have them bowling in like the APH tournaments in Maine, and it's adding to the state tournaments, and it's showing, that to me shows that these people, maybe they'll get the drive to get better and bowl in a money league. Maybe we could get the money leagues going again, but I think you have to have a solid base of people that want to do that. And right now it's dwindling in Maine to what, Tim, there might be 50 guys that would bowl in a scratch bowling league.
Oh God,
we had one?
No.
You don't think we can get 50?
Nope. I don't. I think would be lucky to get to bowl in a scratch league. Well, number one, Maine is so far apart from the bowlers that you got to draw from.
We couldn't have a Friday night pro league like you guys have, Brian. No way. We just don't have the bodies. It wouldn't, and we don't have enough guys that would want to travel like that and do it scratch.
Right.
There might. Like, I know Maine a little bit, but like, how far do most of you guys live apart? You think?
So Brian and I live. We live a mile and a half apart from each other. Okay, but for us to really go anywhere, it's an hour and a half to Bangor, it's an hour to Augusta, and it's an hour and a half to Portland, where we live. Okay.
We live in the Bermuda Triangle of Mid-Coast Maine.
We do. We live in the Mid-Coast, in true Mid-Coast Maine. But for Bangor, like if Evan were living back in Bangor, if he were to bowl in a Friday night pro league and we had one and it was in Sanford, it would take him almost 3 hours.
Oh yeah, you guys definitely couldn't do that.
See, it takes Brian and I 2.5 hours to get to Sanford. If Freiburg had it at Saco Valley, it's 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes or so, because it's about 3 hours to North Conway.
Yeah.
So it's 2 hours to Oxford or South Paris, where Stars and Strikes is.
The closest big alley to us is Augusta. It's an hour.
Yeah. Well, Oakland Park. Oakland Park's got 16 lanes.
True.
Okay, no, it's got 18 lanes. And that's 2 miles from my house. But other than that, I mean, that's why it always cracks me up. I mean, I have had this conversation with I don't know how many times with how many people from down your way, Dave Barber, Surratt, all these guys, because they were bitching about travel. God, how long did it take? It took me a half hour to get there. It took me 40 minutes. And I'm just sitting there going, dude, I bowled for years on Monday nights. 2 years. I drove to Saco. It's an hour and 45 minutes to bowl in a fucking league. Okay.
You have to get out of work at 3:00 to.
Yeah.
I used to, when I worked with Tim at the newspaper, when I had like my first sales job, I told Tim, I'm like, dude, I got to leave at 3:30 or I got to leave at 4:00. I got to drive to Bangor for 6:30 league.
So when those guys would sit there and just be bitching about it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That is the only way in Maine that we can ever get to a good league is by traveling. Vice versa, tournaments in Maine. It's an hour to Augusta. It's an hour and a half to Bangor. It's an hour and a half to Portland. We have to travel to bowl. Hell, I bowled the Pro Series this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't bowl them all. I think I bowled, 4 events? I bowled enough to get into the playoffs. 5 events, maybe?
How long does it take you to get to Lita?
That's 3 hours.
Yeah, that's 3 hours.
Yeah, it's 3 hours. 3 hours to Nashua.
The closest alley we could bowl in is Portsmouth.
And that's 2 hours and about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when those guys, like, I tried for years to get them to bring a tournament up to Augusta, and they did one year. They brought a Pro Series event up to Augusta.
Random draw doubles. It was awesome.
Random draw doubles. It sold out. They had 3 or 4 shifts. I can't remember now how many shifts they had.
Teams. They had 3 shifts, 60 teams. The house was full.
And they wouldn't come back because they were like, well, it took too long for us to get there. And I'm like, so because it took you guys an hour and a half, 2 hours to get here, you were guaranteed a full tournament and you won't come back. I mean, that's half the reason why I didn't bowl the Pro Series for 4 or 5 years, because I was like, well, screw it. I mean, they want me to drive down there to bowl, but they're not willing to do the same for the guys up here.
It wasn't cost effective for me. I bowled in it the first couple years, and I just couldn't. It's a full day. It's a full day of travel. You're up at if you have the 1 o'clock shift, you're up at 7 to leave at 8 or 9 to get there. Then you bowl, and then you're home at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like and then you got to stop and eat. You got to pay tolls. You got to gas. You have your bowling entry fee. Like, it adds up.
Even better is when it was like an Alley Cat.
Oh yeah, in Kingston.
Which is Kingston. We left at 5 in the morning.
We left
6.
at 6.
We left at 6 in the morning, and
because we had the 10 o'clock shift. Yeah.
Oh no, we left at 5:30.
5:30. Yeah, because we had the 10 o'clock shift.
Yeah.
And it was just about 4 hours to get there.
Yeah. It's fun, but but we love the sport. I mean, I know you love the sport. You're a student of the game, so I mean, I think out of all the people I know, Fuller, I think you are probably you're like the game historian. Like,
I mean, a lot of people don't know it, but my grandmother used to own Lafayette Lanes, which is now Riverwalk, for like 40 years. So I actually took my first steps in the bowling alley, and I was there all the time. Like, pretty much I told my wife when we got married, like, bowling is a big part of my life, and you're going to have to deal with it.
I had that discussion as well.
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of people don't know it, but I only bowled once a week, and I mean, I think I'm okay, but it's like I don't have a lot of. I practiced a lot when I was younger. Kind of like the whole thing with Jeff, like his dad working at the lanes and him going and practicing all the time. But like I was there like every summer bowling 8 hours a day, pretty much.
So you got a lot in. You did. You put your time in.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's I gotta ask, because I think I've asked just about everybody. We all have favorite memories of the game. Whether it's a match, whether it's making this, incredible shot to win something, don't say winning the Worlds. That can't be your favorite memory. And
Man, I have got to get in on this memory.
Oh my God. It's my favorite memory from bowling. It is. And I know it's one of
every single interview we do.
But I want to know,
champion Brian,
what's your favorite kind of memory from bowling other than winning the Worlds or the Easter Classic?
To be honest with you, I bowled, I think it was like 1990, maybe 93, 94, something like that. They had like a mass father and son doubles tournament, and I actually won that with my dad.
Oh, that's cool.
We got jackets and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I still have the jacket. Obviously, it's not going to fit, but but I think it was 94. So I would have been like 10 or 11. and we actually won that. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's super cool.
That's cool. I see. I never got that up. My father, he bowled in a league when I was. I don't even think I think he stopped bowling before I was born. My mother was a bowler. She's the one that bowled, and I used to go to tournaments with her and follow her around. That's how I kind of got into it. But I never won a tournament with my mother or my father. And my son doesn't bowl, which kills me.
He's gonna now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's taking over for me, right?
So, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. We got to talk about it.
I've won some basic stuff with Dad. Like he and I won a couple of doubles tournaments at Oakland Park. We've won a best box. Nothing super big, but we've won some stuff. I like bowling with Dad. Like I said, our age gap is different than most. I'm 30. I'm 35. He's 58. So we're closer than most people think in age, and it's fun. We got a lot of chance because I got good enough to bowl with him in a lot of stuff at a young age, as I'm sure you did, Fuller. So it's good in that aspect because you get a little bit more time to bowl with your dad than most would.
Growing up at Lafayette and stuff, like watching my Uncle Jack and my dad bowl on Friday nights in the Pro League and like on TV and stuff. And like I'd go with my dad, he'd call me out of school and I'd go watch every Channel 5 taping and stuff like that. And it was cool. Like growing up, I got to watch that. And like, I'm like, wow, I really want to do this. And then by the time I was old enough, obviously TV went off the air except Comcast. And I never really got to bowl with my dad in like the Friday night league or anything like that because he's got rheumatoid real bad. So he can't bowl anymore. So it kind of stinks that part. But we did bowl in a few leagues and stuff together. But other than that, yeah.
That's cool. I the older I get, the more sentimental I become towards like bowling with my son or bowling with my mom or bowling with my sister or family or friends or things like that. I find myself not necessarily caring as much about winning and losing as much as it is about the relationships that I've formed.
Yeah.
And, I'm not old, I'm not. I mean, I'm going to be 50. I'm not old, but I am getting older in the sport. So I don't know. It's just, that's cool though. I'm super jealous of the fact that you get to win something with your dad. That's pretty cool. Bro, Athern, you had a couple of questions for our guests?
So we all have our favorite houses. Tim and I have discussed ours on the show before. What's your favorite house you bowl in, America and Canada?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't really got to bowl in a lot of different houses in Canada because 2014 was actually my first Worlds, believe it or not.
How the fuck is 2014 your first Worlds?
Right? I got asked a million
time
times,
off.
But yeah, the time off from work, like I was never able to get it.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
And it's crazy, believe it or not. Also, my first Pro Series was 2015. My first Pro Series event, I bowled the doubles with Mark Ritchie, and we won. And that was my
surprise.
First Pro Series. I really haven't got to bowl in Canada.
You made the final. You made the finals of the knockout your first Worlds, didn't you?
No, the second, 2015 and 2017.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, it's funny. So obviously, I love watching good bowling. I do. I don't care who it is. I just love watching good bowling. The way you bowl, I gotta be honest, boggles the hell out of me on how the hell you are so consistent and so damn good at the game because you don't throw hard. You don't throw a hard ball.
No.
But you're so damn consistent on your object pin.
I can't hit singles. I
tell you what, Brian, I would argue there is a reason why you anchored that Worlds team.
But I'd rather have to cut, no joke, I'd rather have to cut 3 and 1 or 2 and 1 than make a single. I feel more comfortable.
So Atherton and I were discussing this because he made a comment, and I had to back it up. I have to back it up. Before we get on with this, he said that you are one of the best cut shot bowlers that he's seen.
True story.
Thank you.
And I actually have to. I'm not going to argue it because I agree with that. Out of everyone that you see, why though? I mean, is it just a mental mindset that you have that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, like, even when at the bowling alley, like, I'd run down the lane and knock pins over and just set different shots up and try to make them. I used to practice that way too. But Ganj actually told me when we were bowling in the Worlds, he said, Fuller, I'd rather have you have to cut a 2 and 1 over than make a single. I'll never forget that. And, like, it's just, I don't know. I always remember my grandmother telling me when I was little in practicing, she said, if you get a split, she said, don't get angry, take it as a challenge and try to make it. And I'll always remember that. And that's what I try to do. I don't know. I just have that voice that tells me that.
That's cool.
We
cool.
all have our kryptonites. I, for one, Tim does not like it when I leave 2 pins together. If I have a 2-pinner, I will chop the front out of every single one of them.
He scares me. He scares me when he gets an 8-pin drop together.
But yeah, back to your guys' question though about, like, my favorite house and everything. I mean, it will always be Lafayette / Riverwalk because that's pretty much where I grew up. But definitely Academy, and it's pretty tough right now. But that's also one of my favorite houses. And I think it makes me bowl better when I go somewhere else. Like bowling at Academy. If you go to, like, a faster house, I think it definitely helps.
Yeah. I like Academy. It is not one of my favorite houses to bowl in. But that's only because I traditionally struggle in that house for some reason. Meaning, and when I say that, meaning, like, I think my highest average that I've had in the Worlds there is only like a 121. It's just, it's a house it's a great house. Like, I love the house, which is really bizarre. I love the house. And I think Teddy and Josh do a fantastic job there. They do.
It's the U.S. Open of bowling when the Worlds is there. It's a beautiful, well-kept place to do something you love doing. But at times, if you don't do well, it is brutally hard.
Oh, yeah. I think high average on Tuesday nights is 121. At one time, Godwin, myself, and Brian Kroll were all tied at 121. And that's high average in the house.
And that's scary because those are three really good bowlers right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm of my first Worlds was 92. I averaged 132 for the week. I bowled every string and averaged 132. And I think I was like 8th in average.
That's crazy.
My first 5 years, I averaged 130 my first 5 years, and I never cracked the top 5 in average.
Wow.
My first Worlds was 05 in Halifax, and I bowled 637 and was like 40th in the knockout. And I didn't really know Tim at that time, and I looked at Tim and I went, what did I do wrong? He goes, nothing. Welcome.
Welcome to the Worlds. I mean, my first year I bowled 667 and I qualified 31st.
That's crazy.
You bowl 667 now and you're, depending on the house, if you're at Academy, that's going to be one of your top 5 scores.
Yeah.
But I know Academy. What else you got for favorite houses?
I really love Lita. It's eating everybody alive right now. But it's I love bowling at Lita. I always like Pilgrim Lanes too. The house that I hate the most is Portsmouth. Like, I love what they did to the place. They do a great job, but I can't bowl there. Like,
is it because you can't slide?
Yeah, I can't.
It was painful. I was messaging him during the Chicha thing. Was it the Chicha? Or
Yeah,
was
if
it
you told me
the
that I was going to come in last place out of the people,
yeah?
I would have
I,
told you you're crazy, but it was unbelievable. I couldn't.
I saw him and I'm like, dude, you're not going to be able to walk tomorrow. He's like, no.
Yeah, it was horrible. But
So I talked to Andrew about that when we were there for the Candlepins for Cancer tournament, and he was like, "I am at a loss." He goes, "We have tried everything to be able to have people slide."
yeah, I
And
love the house. I love what they did to it, but I don't know what it is. I tried wax on my shoe. Like they have those little wax sticks.
yeah,
I tried that. I still couldn't slide. I thought about going to get a pair of alley shoes and try that, but I didn't. I should have, but
you might have slid too much on that.
yeah,
Because you do slide a lot, right? Like that's your
yeah.
like you don't have a short slide. You
No.
typically have a longer slide.
Yeah.
So like Brian has what I would call a short slide.
I slide maybe a foot.
Right,
maybe.
at the most.
And the heel, I have an S4, and I use a gigantic disc brake on my heel.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to slide too much, but again, I don't want to stick because when you're my size and you stick, you Superman to the lob line, and Tim has seen it.
And then I feel bad because I laugh, and then I'm like, oh shit, I hope he didn't hurt himself. But then I laugh again. So I'm really a good friend like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the house that I struggle the most at is honestly Big 20. And the reason I say that is the pins are tough, but their approaches, I slide too much. It's very, very slippery. And I put a premium on approaches just because it's so much stability and how you bowl. And I think in Maine, Augusta has the most consistent approaches, as meaning they're the same on every lane.
And I don't know if you guys have ever bowled that sunny side in Danvers either, but that's pretty sticky too, I think.
Are they synthetic?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Synthetic approaches are terrible for candlepin bowling.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean, I get why. Well, didn't Teddy put in synthetic?
Yeah,
on the right hand side?
The right hand side, yeah. They
Yeah.
just redid the room. It looks really nice.
Yeah, they took out like 4 lanes and put in.
Yeah.
Did they put in a bar in the kitchen? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'll be good the next time they have the Worlds.
Yeah,
to have a real kitchen and stuff like that. And I know Josh and Teddy don't want the Worlds every other year, every other year. But I know it'll go back there eventually.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So I have a question. Seeing as how you are a student of the game, secondary question first. How many of the Hall of Fame events have you gone to?
Just 2.
Just the last 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you think? Because the next one isn't until 2022, I think.
I think 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I actually put my grandmother in for contribution to the game.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Because she did own Riverwalk for so long, or Lafayette for so long. Who out of the current bowlers that are 50 or older, obviously, who's not in that you think should be in?
Number 1, off the top of my head, Gary Carrington. He doesn't want anything to do with it, but he should be in, hands down.
Yep. That's
the first person that comes to my mind.
Yeah. It boggles my mind that and I get that he doesn't want anything to do with it. I know you're like the 5th person that said that to me.
Yeah.
Who else do you think is gonna get in, or you think should get in?
I don't know. I was thinking about this too. Like, it's tough. There's so many people, and I think that's why they've spread it out so much. Like they want to do it every 4 years now, I think.
Yep.
Just to keep it going. But I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of who's in and who's not. But I know Gary was definitely one of the ones that came
Yeah.
to my mind.
I know who should go in next year. Tim, because he'll be 50.
He'll be 50.
Yes, you belong in there, buddy. Don't
No, I will argue that one, but thank you. I am already. I have something done. I want my sister. I'm actually going to nominate my sister, Brian. I don't think you ever saw her bowl, and she didn't have a long career only because she looked at me and she goes, "I've won everything. Why should I keep bowling?" I'm like, I can't answer that.
I mean, another one that was crazy too was like it took Tom Ulsta as long as it did to get in.
Oh, yeah. But
he was in with my uncle, so
that was a cool inauguration. That one.
They should do a team category and put that first 5, that Margin Supply team as a team. There's enough team events and team scores out there and Worlds teams that you could put in a team category in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think there's other people too. Cookie, actually, he's not in.
Oh yeah, Cookie should. Yeah.
Who else do you guys? I know you guys were talking about it a couple of weeks ago.
To me, Chris Sargent, I think he's, again, I don't look at personalities. It's hard not to, but I don't look at personalities. You take Chris's polarizing personality out of it, and he's arguably one of the best to ever bowl. Period. End of story.
You can't take that away from him at all. He's won everything there is to win. He's got multiple world records.
He is by far the most explosive bowler I think I've ever bowled with and against.
Yeah.
I have another one, either for contributions to the game or for competitive ability. MD. Jeff McLean. I mean, he has a few 200s. He's won a bunch of state stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
think he won in all events one year. I think he had the high pinfall. He didn't win the eliminations, but I don't know if he's won an elimination. But I just either contributions to the game. I mean, I know personally there is a bunch of years I wouldn't have been able to go without MD doing what he did for our team.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult for me just because the only way to get in, of course, is you've got to nominate someone.
Yeah.
And in order to nominate someone, you have to know every single thing that they've ever done in the game.
That's what's really tough, because a lot of people don't keep a lot of their stats, and it happened so long ago. It's really tough to get stuff together.
That's it. Like, I did not keep when I first started. I never had any intention of making it to the Hall of Fame. Like, that's not why I bowled.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it until a couple of years ago. I think Brian and I were talking one night and at League. And I realized, and like I said something, and Brian was like, "You realize that's like in 2 years that you turn 50?" And I'm like, I never even gave it a thought. And I'm like, I don't know if I have everything to go back. So to me, I think it becomes very difficult to nominate people because you don't.
But then you have guys like me that are the Rain Man of bowling.
Well,
you can remember it. Like, you can remember things too. Like, I was gonna try to get my dad in too.
Yeah.
And I went through like all the YouTube tapings and other paperwork that my grandmother saved and stuff. But like for TV appearances, I think my dad's got like 35.
That's cool.
All of like his tournaments and stuff. I asked him like different things that he's won. He's like, I can't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't have any of that. So I think that's going to be like an issue. Like a lot of people, they want you to come up with the information. So it's tough. They want like to be able to see it, not just like go by what you can say.
And that's why I asked you, because I know that you're a student of the game. I know that you love the game, and I know that you've got a lot of history with the game, meaning you've watched a lot, you've seen a lot. So I was curious what your take on. I personally would like to see them change the way the nominations for the Hall of Fame go. and I don't know necessarily how, other than I kind of like the way like baseball does it. Granted, you don't have Candlepin writers, but I mean, if it went out to, your centers, and they said, okay, here's 50 people, choose 10, and then the next round is, okay, here's, of those whatever, here's 20 more, and of these 20, choose 5, and now those are the 5 that are going in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Something like that would be pretty cool. But like you have I don't think he's in it anymore, but I think Ralph Sem was in it, and it really, like, I'm probably gonna get shit for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When Jeff's dad got in the Hall of Fame, he said to Jeff, "Oh, when you see your dad, tell him you made it in." Like, he had no idea that Jeff's dad passed away, and it's pretty shitty to have him have to deal with that. Like, you have some people that don't even have a clue about like some of the bowlers like today and different things, but
that's it, and that's why I in my opinion, if you're going to have a Hall of Fame of Candlepin bowling, then it should be represented by Candlepin bowlers, meaning you should have 2 or 3 people from Massachusetts, 2 or 3 people from New Hampshire, 2 or 3 people from Maine, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia as the Hall of Fame committee.
Yeah.
The governing body, if you will.
I think Tim Lipke's in there. Dan Murphy, he was. I don't know if he still is. Yeah. I know Frank DeLuca was on the committee.
Yeah.
There's a couple other people, but I don't know. Bob Perella, I think, was. I don't know if he still is, but I think there should be like a couple people, like you said, somebody from Maine at least, like somebody from Canada, stuff like that, just for everybody.
Yeah, and that to me is a little bit of a sore subject, that you don't have as many people from Canada in the ICBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
and I think it's too bad, because there's been some great bowlers in Canada that deserve to be in Candlepin Bowling Hall of Fame, but they're not associated.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm sorry, but they deserve to be in.
Yeah.
I do. I think so. I don't know how to fix it, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the $65 million question.
They were having meetings and stuff, and I think anybody could go. I know Norcross was actually going to some of the meetings, but I don't know how you would go about the Hall of Fame one, though, for the ICBA and stuff.
That's tough. That's a tough one, because like I said, there's a ton of Canadians that frankly could be in. Now, granted, up there they don't do, we do a lot more single events and doubles events down here. So from that standpoint, it's a little easier in my eyes to from a Hall of Fame standpoint. Up there, it's a lot more team events. That's why I like Athern's idea of, a team category.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, think about it. I can name probably 4 or 5 teams right off the top of my head. The original Marjam Supply, McLaughlin Truck and Trailer.
Yeah.
Lucky Strike.
USA East.
East.
The first Canadian.
The
first Canadian team to win the Worlds that year in
Fredericton. Hanwells. That was their. Yep. So that would be kind of a neat. Yep. I think anyone that's won. Number one, anyone that's won the Worlds understands how difficult it is to win that tournament, and how much it takes, and everything else from a team standpoint. I do think that there should be a team category look at your Hall of Fames out there. Look at, the NBA Hall of Fame has team categories. They have teams in the Hall of Fame, as does Major League Baseball, as does NFL and everything else. They all have some.
Even the WWE has factions in their Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of a neat idea. So what's Brian? What's your Fuller? How many 200s do you have?
Believe it or not, only one.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you had more than that.
No, just the 224.
Yeah.
And then I have I have a 191 and a 190.
Okay.
And then I have probably 20 high 180s.
Yeah.
But yeah, only one 200.
And that was that Riverwalk or Lafayette? Yeah. Because that's the lane record there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. What's your high 3?
474. Believe it or not, you'd think it would be higher, wouldn't you? But.
Well, look, I don't care what anyone says. Anytime you get above 450, that's some tough freaking bowling. I mean, that's 150 average on a night.
Yeah. Yeah, I got 224, 474, and 743.
Okay. What's your 10? Do you know?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I never really bowled a lot of 10.
He knows what his 20 is.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've bowled mostly what? 5-string events, and then of course the 20-stringer at Easter.
Yeah.
Is that
and I bowled
typically?
I only bowled one 10-stringer for the Pro Series too.
Okay.
And I think that one was 1341 or something, and I came in third.
Yeah. I did.
Baker went crazy that one. He had like 14-17 or something like that.
I bowled in a main Pro Tour event many years ago. I went 14:05 and I came in 4th.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was bowling beside Sarge and Newport when he went 808. That was insane.
I was 800 on my front 5.
Wow.
800 on the dot, and then went 605 on my back 5. Talk about just
going from midnight to 6.
Oh my God.
My biggest thing that I want to do before I stop bowling is definitely hit 500. That's one thing I've always wanted to do.
Yep. It's fun. It's even more fun when you do it in a sweater.
Against me or my team.
How many do you have? 4?
500s?
Yeah.
I have 2.
2.
Yeah, I have 2 500s. I've got 5 200s. 3 199s. Still kills me on. One of them I had spare 2 in the 10th, and I 199. And that one kills me. And then another one I threw a triple strike in the 10th for a 199. I'm like, I remember I was up, I was looking at the score, I'm like, 169, I can't hit 200 anyway. And I go out and throw the triple. I'm like, son of a But yeah, no, 2 500s, 800, and then 1459 is my high 10.
Nice.
So
188, 465, which
I was there for that one.
I thought I was going to break Tim's 500. I had a shot, and I got punchy in the back 5.
He did. He had to go big. I mean, you still needed. I think he needed. I
sat on the double, and then I threw the triple.
Yeah.
And that's when you looked over, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And then I blew the guts out the next 3 balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my 5 is 667. My 10 is 1306 or something.
Where'd you do that? That was
Bangor.
Bangor. Okay.
That was Bangor and an in-house.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we there's been some big scores. I've been lucky enough to see several 200 strings. Val Joy, I saw her 200 in Pittsfield when she set the state record. That was pretty cool. My sister has a 199. Still kills her that she didn't get that extra pin. But no,
Judy has a 1299 at Oakland Park.
Yep.
Bowden.
No. So who's your who's your favorite Canadian to watch bowl?
Ooh. To be honest, probably Nate LeBlanc.
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of matches with him. Actually, every single singles that I've been to the finals, I've had to beat him to get there. So I love watching Nate, Calvin, Harnett. Yeah, I didn't really get to watch any of the older guys because I started so late, but
yeah,
mostly all the younger guys.
I would agree with you on the Nate. Nate's one of my favorites to watch from Canada. Calvin, Corey, Scott Esterberg. I love watching Scott. Just because he towers over me, and I always end up bowling against him, so it's kind of funny.
He has that short little first step, and then it's just like dun dun dun. Yeah, and it just lays it down. It's almost Fred Flintstone-esque.
Yeah, almost.
I like watching Jerry Dunn too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jerry put a beating on me at the last Worlds in the first match. He went 450 against me, and I go back and I look at his Shelly, his significant other. I go, Shelly, why is Jerry being so mean to me? It's the first day. He comes out, he goes 150, 140. I'm like, ouch.
Yeah, Jerry's fun to watch. There's a bunch of good, but like I said, I just like watching. I love watching good bowling. I do. Yeah. I just
Cody Bork. Cody Bork's fun. A little lefty, and he takes that little, just flips the ball.
Yeah, I like watching Fuller. I'll admit it. I like watching him bowl. Don't like it when he bowls against
graceful.
Me, but I like.
You're very graceful. Like I look like a Mack truck hitting the finish line, and you're just like you glide.
Yeah, but I think I tried to like always watching my uncle. I always tried to watch and see how smooth he threw it, but
not many did it that smooth.
I can't throw it smooth. I mean, I used to. I mean, there's a picture of me on Facebook. If you look at my not profile picture, the background picture there. What do they call it?
The one where you look like you're touching the floor.
Yeah, that's literally how low I got when I bowled. And when I was bowling good, you wouldn't be able to hear the ball. I literally laid the ball on. Now I just can't get as low as I used to. Occasionally, if I'm bowling good, it'll happen. I'll get low like that, and then I'll feel it for about 42 days afterwards. But no, I would agree with your Canadian guys watching them. I like watching them as well. I like watching you down in Mass. I like watching Bovair. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is.
He is. He's a fun guy to watch. I like watching Surratt. I'll ask you this, but I think I know the answer, and I'm going to ask both you guys this. Is there anyone, and I know the answer, but I had someone ask me this a while ago. Is there anyone that you fear going up and bowling against?
Not really. I think, anybody can be beat. I think I don't really fear anyone, but like the thing that I like the most, to be honest with you, like growing up, like bowling in all the youth tournaments and stuff, I always tried to beat Surratt.
Yeah.
And like bowling in the Worlds in 2018 and like finally actually being able to bowl against him, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
someone asked me, what about you, Brian? Athern, sorry.
I'm not really afraid to bowl anybody. There are people I don't like when I get into the Can-Am and I get into the eliminations, there are people I don't like to see in the next match. Like, oh, that's not fun in the second round. Can we save that one for later? But no, like I enjoy bowling Tim. I honestly do. It's fun. I enjoy bowling people that make me bowl better. It's not like I fear anybody.
Yeah. And the only reason I asked that is because I actually had someone, Brian, you weren't there. It was at League one night recently, maybe 2 weeks ago. We were downstairs. And Fuller, if you ever come up to this area, Oakland Park has two distinct different, what I would call houses. there's 12 lanes upstairs, and then you go down about 5 stairs, and there's 6 lanes downstairs.
And you lose 5 pins on your average every
And
stair.
they are infinitely harder downstairs. To a point where I almost turned around and walked out 2 weeks ago when Jason laughed and said, "Yeah, we're downstairs." I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding." Well, I mean, long story short, I ended up going like 460 something. It was like a great night, and I have no idea how it happened. But the guy I was bowling against, I heard him when I got up, because I bowl 4th on our team because Jason owns the house and he's working, and it's easier for him to bowl 5th.
Yeah,
I don't care. It's whatever. And I heard him say, he's like, "Oh my God, I got to bowl Tim." And he was like, I don't want to bowl him. He's going to kick my ass. And I just got thinking, and then someone asked me, and I can't remember who it was, if there was anyone that I feared to get up and bowl against. And at first I kind of laughed, and then I was like, no. I took it serious, and I was like, no. There's no one I've ever feared.
yeah.
There are guys that I do get afraid when they're down. Like if it's a 10-pin match going into 5 boxes, it's like, this is not going to be fun. I have a lead, but this is not going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've never been afraid to bowl anyone.
No.
And maybe it's an irrational sense of confidence in myself, but I've always felt that I can compete. And this is what I told them. I was like, anytime when I first started bowling, I wasn't that good. So I was always bowling people better than me. So I learned how to bowl against guys that were better than me, and it made me better. And it's just like Athern said, I like bowling guys that were better than me. So now I get to the point where I like bowling good bowlers because I'm going to have to bowl.
Yeah.
It's like anytime, and I think Fuller, I want to say we've only bowled against each other once that I can think of.
Yeah, when you guys knocked us, you guys took, we had the shot, and you guys took, it was with Freshie 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, in Moncton.
Was it in Moncton? No. Was it in Fredericton? Did you bowl in Fredericton?
Yes.
It was in Fredericton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember
Oh
that?
yeah, that was the year we went to the semis.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we had a shot, and you guys ended up beating us. You're like, "I beat Fuller," or somebody said something, and we're like,
it was the last match on Friday. We took 6.
When I made those 2 cut shots. The what the hell did I make? The 5-9-7.
Yeah, because we were all 1 and 2.
Yeah, I made the 5-9-7, and then the next ball I leave the 5-8-10, and I turned around and I made it. I just remember Brian. I remember Athern looking over it because someone had come down. A couple of guys had come down that were on another team because they were close to making it. I don't know. Either way, I just remember bowling you. I bowled against you, and I think that's the only time I've ever bowled against you. But I've always enjoyed bowling guys that are good bowlers because they force me to bowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny. Everybody in Mass now gives me shit because when I bowl in like the singles and stuff, now that I've made it to the finals twice, they're like, "Oh, you get put up against the main bowler, you're all done." It's like a thing now mentally because I lost to Carrier and then I lost to
Matt Huff. Yeah.
So, and at the time, I didn't even have a clue who he was, and I was like, I got this. But punch.
Matt is very sneaky good.
Yeah.
I remember the Carrier one because that was in Fredericton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we went out. That was the year we made the semis, and that was what led off our week. And we all went out to dinner at Eastside after.
Yep. Yeah, that was fun. But anyway, we're kind of up against the. We've gone over, which is fine. It's a great conversation, Brian. I again really appreciate you having you on. I know you kind of went back and forth about wanting to be on, and I'm glad you changed. I'm glad you changed your mind.
Yes, thank you so much.
You know,
thank you guys for having me.
God, I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I love talking bowling. this to me is my way that I can contribute to the game and hopefully help keep it alive, because frankly, that's our job now, is to keep it alive.
So glad you guys are doing this though. I look forward to it every Tuesday morning.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah,
I haven't missed one yet.
Nice. Well, we appreciate it. We
that's
do.
awesome.
We appreciate it.
Haven't watched the Friday episodes yet though, but
that's okay. Fridays are what I would call our fun episodes, meaning we talk about anything other than Candlepin Bowling on Fridays.
Tim tried to explain soccer to me this past Friday.
I did. It didn't go well for him.
I watched some more today, and I'm starting to get it.
You don't like soccer?
I was believe it or not, I didn't play soccer in high school. I was a football player. Surprise, surprise. No, I never understood it. I didn't get like the offsides. I didn't get like, why are we kicking the ball backwards? It's supposed to go forwards. So now I've been watching a lot of UEFA Champions League, I'm starting to figure it out.
So I grew up, I was a golfer. So in high school I was on golf team, and so I did not play soccer, but I understand the sport and I played a little bit. My brother's a huge fan of soccer, season ticket holder, Revolution, has traveled to many World Cup. Like he went to Panama when they played USA played down in Panama for, I think that might have been the CONCACAF. But he's traveled to watch like the USA team, and he's been to a couple of places like that. And so he's a huge soccer fan, as is my sister. So I understand the sport. I like the sport. I watch, football and hockey and baseball and basketball before soccer. But anyway, really appreciate having you on, as usual. Folks, appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget, you guys can ask us questions. Reach out to us, rippingtherack@gmail.com, Ripping the Rack Podcast on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube at Ripping the Rack Podcast. And Brian Athern, where else can they find us?
You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Anchor, Breaker, and wherever else you consume your podcast media.
All right, guys. We appreciate it. Have a great week. Stay safe.
Have fun, guys.
Thanks.